Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. I am your host, Harrison Graham, reacting to Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus' press conference. Today's show is presented by Fetch Rewards. Earn points from any restaurant or store and then redeem those points by scanning your receipts and earning those points like gift cards from other places like Amazon and so forth. Chatsports.com/fetch. That is the place to download the app and start racking up points today. Okay, let's get into my press conference takeaways. I got 6 of them here, and we'll kind of go into detail for each one. Number one, Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus are pure football guys, right? I mean, the way they talk is just textbook football guy. They preach toughness, culture. Talk about, this week they've been getting up at 3 a.m. to start, their work days and that type of stuff. These are work gurus, and look, who knows if this will work out or not with this regime, but I will tell you this, no stone will be left unturned. They will work as hard as anybody. I can promise you that. You just listen to how Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus talk. This is who they are. They are football coaches and now a GM. When it comes to Ryan Poles, this is their life. Of course, they have families and other stuff going on, but these guys are ready to work, and they've been working very, very hard already. These guys are excited to be here, and they are football guys at heart. Eberflus's background of being a coach for over 30 years. Poles has been a front office exec since he was an undrafted free agent in 2008, joined the Chiefs after that. These guys preach football. It's in their blood, so I think that is important to mention. What is your one-word reaction to the press conference? Let me know down in the comments what your one-word reaction is. If I had to give one word, I would say measured. Producer Brett in my ear, that's a good one. They didn't give away too much. They gave away some things, which we'll talk about here, but give me one word, your reaction to this press conference. Let's talk about Matt Eberflus and his HITS philosophy, okay? Four-step philosophy here for Matt Eberflus as a football coach. Number one, it starts with H. H equals hustle. And again, this goes back to this guy being a pure football coach. It sounds corny and whatnot, but everything you read about this guy when he got the job was his teams play hard and they rally to the football. That starts with hustle. That also turns into intensity. You can't take plays off. You've got to put your foot down and get after the football, especially on defense. There were questions about how this translates to offense, but I just think intensity and focus, those things kind of work side by side. Number 3, T, take the ball away. What did the Colts do really well in recent years? They got takeaways. What have the Bears not done that well since 2018? The defense has been great, but they haven't gotten as many turnovers. I think that will be an area to watch out for in year one. I think there should be an improvement in that regard. And then S for smart. You got to play smart. If you play, I'll give an analogy. Russell Westbrook, it plays hard and is really intense. But if you're out of control and you're not smart while you're doing it, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't translate into winning. So you got to play smart. You got to play fast. You got to be physical, but you got to be smart while you're doing all of those things. That is his coaching philosophy, and I think all of that will translate and be an immediate part of the culture moving forward. Now, Fetch Rewards is today's presenting sponsor here, and you guys can download the app at chatsports.com/fetch. But to tell you about the app, this is an app that allows you to scan receipts, earn points on those receipts, and redeem those points for gift cards. You're seeing how easy it is right here. You grab your receipt, you scan it, boom, it's going to submit and convert that information, and you get points over time. It's a great app because all you do is scan receipts, you get points, and then you get rewards, including gift cards from Amazon, Starbucks, Target, Walmart. Tons of restaurants are available as well. You want your morning coffee paid for? Starbucks gift cards are available as you rack up points. It's easy. It's user-friendly. It's an awesome app. Chatsports.com/fetch. Earn points by scanning receipts from literally anywhere. You fill up gas, grocery store, take out food, doesn't matter. And you can rack up digital receipts as well. You can sync up your email and Amazon account. Get going today, chatsports.com/fetch. By the way, promo code BEARS, 3,000 bonus points. I'll have that information all in the comments and in the description. All right, takeaway number 2 is kind of a 2-part one to start things off. Number 2, this one might be the most that they revealed in this press conference because they didn't give away much. Matt Eberflus will not call the defense. Now, he'll obviously have a ton of influence, but he basically pointed to the fact that the head coach needs to be involved in all 3 areas. I think that's the thing that Eberflus gave away the most, is that he wants to have input on the offense. He wants to be involved in the special teams. Obviously, his heaviest in-point X's and O's wise, I would assume, will be on the defense, and whoever the defensive coordinator ends up being, maybe it's Alan Williams, who's been rumored to come over from Indianapolis to call the defense. That person will call the plays on game day. Again, I assume Eberflus will have heavy input, but he will not be making the defensive calls, and that's obviously different than from what Matt Nagy did most of his coaching career. What was a big criticism of his? That he was so focused on calling the offense and running the offense that he didn't do enough as an overall head coach. Head coach has a lot of responsibilities, so it sounds like Eberflus is going to delegate to other coaches, to guys he trusts as this staff comes together. One other thing here, Eberflus did confirm basically that the base defense will be a 4-3. There's a lot of chatter. Will he shift to a 3-4 because that's what the Bears have run recently? His principles are at a 4-3 defense now. In modern times, most defenses are multiple. You'll see different looks, of course, a lot of nickel concepts, obviously, but 4 down linemen will be the base, and I actually think this team is built to do that, especially if they keep Robert Quinn and Khalil Mack. Subscribe to the channel here at youtube.com/Bears. Now, the Bears offseason coverage we got going on right now, it is scorching hot. You guys have been joining us for all of it. We appreciate it. Spread the word. Share that link with a friend. And if you haven't subscribed already, I encourage you to do so. The link is right there, but just hit the red button below the video. You see it says subscribe. You click it, and you are good to go. And you are joining the Chicago Bears now family. Appreciate it. Let's keep this train moving. All right, at number 3, this regime believes in the draft. And that makes sense, right? Ryan Poles has a background in building or believing in offensive line building. Now, the Chiefs certainly did a lot of different things over the years as he was with different regimes, free agency, trades, draft. But when you factor in Matt Eberflus into it, the Colts were never a team to overpay for free agents. Poles actually had a quote of saying, we'll be selective in free agency. So don't look for them to just overpay on guys, right? Now, that doesn't mean they're not going to be aggressive in free agency. And obviously in year 1, how does that factor in, right? Because the Bears don't have a first-round pick this year, so you can't rely incredibly heavy on retooling the roster here in year 1 through the draft unless you trade some guys to get more draft capital. So I think that is significant for Chicago in year 1. But I think as this thing goes over time, they believe in the draft. Poles pointed to, we want to draft players that are young, athletic, explosive, coach them up, groom them up, and build that way. Now, obviously, he mentioned free agency a lot. You obviously can't build an entire roster through the draft, but he believes in building a core of a roster with young talent. And if you draft well, that's the easiest way to success pretty quick, because if you can get good young players on their rookie contracts, those guys are cheap, guys. Even first-round picks, like Justin Fields is cheap right now. We'll talk about Fields in a moment, but again, I think this will be a team, maybe not as much in year 1 based on the current draft capital, but that will make a heavy emphasis on the draft. We'll look to build up draft capital as well. Now, let's shift that into what you currently have, a quarterback on his rookie deal that's not making a ton of money. They didn't reveal a lot on Justin Fields. Now, Ryan Poles said, I'm excited to have Justin. Eberflus pointed to, he said something along the lines of, we're looking at every player through the same lens. I think this was a very calculated press conference. They're not going to give away their ideology of the current roster, what they believe on certain guys. I don't think we should look at this and be like, well, Fields may not be the starter next year. I fully expect him to be the starter. But they don't want to, crown Justin Fields either and give away too much publicly and, hype him up too much. So I really didn't have a problem. Again, Poles did say he is excited to have Justin and to work with him. He also mentioned he has a good relationship with Ryan Day, Justin Fields' college coach. So there could be, some input that he receives from him as well moving forward. But, it really comes down to Eberflus working with Luke Getsy and this offensive staff that comes together to get the best out of Justin Fields. Again, I'm not going to overreact to a press conference of like, they don't believe in him. They didn't give away anything. I think the second part of that is the true part. They didn't want to give away much. They didn't really talk about specific players. So I wouldn't take too much into that. But I do think it's somewhat notable that they didn't publicly reveal that much on their young quarterback. Now, if you believe in Justin Fields, type me. Again, I think Eberflus and Poles do as well, but they just want to have a measured approach in year one here. Type me in the comments. Be heard if you believe in Justin Fields. If you don't, just say, I don't, but I certainly do, and I've made that clear over the past year. Okay, a couple more takeaways here. Eberflus will have input in all areas. You're looking at a guy who wants to be a head coach, a CEO type, but a CEO type that's hands-on, not like a Mike McCarthy who, like, people in Dallas are like, what does he even do? Like, Matt Eberflus says, I want to take what I've been able to study for 30 years defending offenses and work with Luke Getsy and the offensive staff and have input there. He obviously wants to have X's and O's input on the defense. He wants to be involved in special teams. Think like Brandon Staley with the Chargers. Sure, he has a defensive background, but Staley played quarterback in college, so he has heavy input on the offense and the philosophies of the team on that side of the ball as well. I think there could be a similar mindset here from Matt Eberflus, at least based on what we heard in his introductory press conference. So I think that's something to keep in mind, the fact that he's not going to call plays and the fact that he wants to be involved in all areas, not only during the week, but on game days as well. Now, give me a follow on Instagram at HGramNFL. I will follow the first 20 people that follow me back. We'll do some more Instagram lives throughout the offseason. We've had some fun with the 2 we've already done. We'll try to work those in every couple of weeks as well. At HGramNFL, it's at HGramNFL. First 20 people to follow me will get a follow back, and even if you don't get a follow back, you can still DM me. We'll talk. We'll have some fun on that aspect as well. Okay, sixth key here, and we'll be quick on this one. This regime will hold each other accountable. It didn't seem like Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy were always on the same page, and even when they were, there wasn't a lot of accountability there, especially in the last year and a half. So I think Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus are going to be intense. I think they're going to have accountability for each other and for the rest of this coaching and front office, and I think you can expect accountability throughout this football team. All right, are you more or less confident after this press conference? Type M for more or type L for less. All right, we were going to publish the press conference takeaways video, but Justin Fields actually ended up talking, so we're going to work this in there as well. Talked for about 10 minutes, answered some questions, and I'll mention this first, then more of a broader picture. Justin Fields had an interesting quote to me. He basically said, there's no more Fields as a rookie, this and that. The time is now, is essentially what he said. He knows it's go time. He knows you're entering year 2. You got a full off season. Assuming the Bears make it pretty clear that he's the starter, which the fact that he talked today kind of makes that clear to me that, hey, you're introducing a new head coach and a GM, and your rookie quarterback that had a very up and down year, you're having him talk too on this day. That says a lot to me that they believe in him as the quarterback, at least moving forward into 2022. I thought he was confident in everything he had to say. Said he's about to go to Georgia, start training for the offseason right away. Said he's been watching the playoffs and that he knows he's excited to be involved in that moving forward, hopefully. So Fields knows that this is a big offseason for him. He should get all the reps. Shout out Matt Nagy for giving him none last year. But this will be a huge 6-8 months for him getting ready for the 2022 season, and I feel confident in him being the starting quarterback this next year. Quick reminder to subscribe, youtube.com/BearsNow. More videos coming up, including a live show on Tuesday.